Hi guys and welcome to Trustzone.com. This is Mohit Soni here. What you're looking at is two bikes from the same stable, same platform, sharing the same showroom floor as well. This is the brand new 2024 KTM Duke 390 and this is the Husqvarna SVARTPILEN 401. These are the same 399cc engine motorcycles that were just launched, let's say between 4 to 5 months of gap. And what we see here are very identical motorcycles, borderline identical motorcycles, but let's call them similar to begin with, because there are key changes that makes them very different. We're doing this sort of quick comparison for you because we just got the Husqvarna for a road test after the first ride that we did, which you guys said that there has to be more questions that need to be answered. So we are doing this. We have the KTM because this is the KTM Duke 390 I've just bought for myself. I was really impressed when I rode it, got the funds, bought it out, really enjoy what I'm doing here. But at the same time, I was also waiting for the Husqvarna to come in and tell me maybe I could consider this. But then again, I thought let's go with the KTM because I had the old KTM and this was very similar to that one. And without missing out on major things and the extra convenience, I thought this is the right upgrade for me. But for you guys who don't want to do that, even if you are an old KTM owner, you want to get into the Husqvarna, you are not able to do so because the practicality aspect was not there and all of those things were not there with the Husqvarna. But now there's been an overhaul. This is one of the biggest facelifts in the two-wheeler space in a very long time because there have been a lot of changes. Let's go through the design quickly here. What you can see is the brand new headlamp, and it's not entirely a circle in terms of the LED DRL, but nevertheless it is still reminiscent of the old design. Coming to the side here, this entire panel is new, which makes it look different. Most importantly, I've already told you in my road test that the subframe is bigger, the pillion seat is bigger, and the seat height is much lower than before for the rider as well as the pillion by a good 35-40 mm. So that is the big change that Husqvarna has done. This was updated, but it wasn't launched. But now with the new platform, the new engine and the new screen, Bajaj directly bought in an all new motorcycle. But at the same time, it's also considered as a major facelift. But since it's a platform change, we're calling it as an all new motorcycle. At the same time, what you can clearly see is that you get spoke wheels here, you get the Pirelli Scorpion tires, and what other changes that you get from on what is the difference between these two is the fact that you get this bash plate here right down there. This is the heat plate that both these motorcycles share, and everything else is in between. Even the crash guard, the switch gear, the instrument cluster is all the same. You already seen that. We'll just show it to you again. You know what this is all about. It doesn't have a track mode or a track screen, and the key differences here are that the KTM surprisingly has more ground clearance. The Husqvarna ground clearance on the KTM is higher, and despite the fact that both these motorcycles have identical suspension travel, so 151 at the front and 161 at the back. This is grown by almost 1 millimeter in front and almost 11 millimeters in the back when you consider the change from the first generation. The second generation, let's not keep that in between right now. And this also exactly shares the same thing. This is 3 kilos heavier despite spoke wheels, because I think there has been some way where I think it's the subframe that has added the extra weight, because the spoke wheels will definitely make it lighter. But nevertheless, this is heavier, and this is clearly slightly lower on numbers from the KTM. The KTM, you get an 800 mm seat height. On the SVARTPILEN here, you get 820 mm. For the foreign market, of course, this will have an 820 mm option extra. In India, I think there is a way you can get that as well, but it's going to be a procedure that we're not aware of it right now. Coming to the KTM here, fit, finish, build quality on both of them are fantastic. Have a look at the screen here, which is very different, slightly different of course. This is the same switch gear on offer, and this has more track mode and the track mode along with the track screen and all of that. This of course is a purely orange colored, the most orange colored bike ever to come to India, and the tail lamps. And have a look at the back, from the back as well. Both these bikes look pretty much from the same family but very different. So it's clearly like two best friends have pretty much the same taste in many things. That is what these bikes end up looking like. Apart from that, like I told you on the numbers, the seat height, the ground clearance, the wheelbase is the same, the suspension travel is the same. What is different about these in the way they ride? Both are very impressive. They've impressed us in really different ways. How is it that different? Let's find out. So what is the Husqvarna SVARTPILEN 401 and the Duke 390 like to ride back to back? Well, what I have found out after extensively riding the KTM Duke 390, because I own it, this version that I've told you earlier, and I've put in almost 3000 kilometers on it right now. At the same time, the Husqvarna SVARTPILEN 401, I've just finished almost riding it for 500 kilometers, and the immediate difference that I notice is the fact that the SVARTPILEN is much more easier, much more linear, much more smoother for some reason, slightly, than the KTM Duke 390. They are almost identical in terms of numbers. There is a bit of change here and there in terms of power and torque, but that's about it. Very, very minimum change, or maybe it's just the spec sheet that is written a little differently, but the numbers are exactly the same. But for some reason, the SVARTPILEN just feels a little bit smoother and calmer and better to ride, because for our broken roads, the SVARTPILEN just feels a little bit better because you have those normally great tires. So when I shot this review initially was in first week of March. Of course, now it is the first week of September, and in between all of this, the tires have changed on the Husqvarna SVARTPILEN. So the big highlight was the Scorpion Pirelli tires, which have now been replaced with the Apollos. And the Husqvarna team tells us that the tires are performing very similarly to each other, and in certain aspects, the Apollo is even better than the Scorpion Pirellis that were offered earlier. So this is the kind of thing that we can let you know, and that is what has changed in all these months. At the same time, the brakes are good, the ride quality is much better on the SVARTPILEN, and it just feels a little more comfortable, linear, smoother, and easier to live with on a daily basis. Meanwhile, the KTM is just absolutely frantic in nature. It's got good amount of vibration, just like the SVARTPILEN, but it just feels much more aggressive, much more in your face, on its toes, but relatively comfortable than the first generation that a lot of people, at least I was riding for the first 10 years, since 2013 to 2023, and then in 2024 I bought the KTM Duke 390 2024 version. So I can tell you that it is a right combination of first generation and second generation KTM Duke 390 that I've told you in my road test review of the KTM Duke 390. So that's where KTM still feels on its feet, very sharp, very frenetic, at the same time just about comfortable enough, smooth enough, so that you can live with it on a daily basis. One of the reasons why I bought the KTM Duke 390 2023 over the 2013 version is that it's just so much more livable, and yet it's got the fun character. So on road, on smoother roads, you will really enjoy the KTM. If you just do smooth roads all the time, for whatever reason you're lucky enough in India or even around the world, you should get the KTM. The sharp handling, the fantastic lean angles that it can provide you, it's just fantastic. Of course, talking about KTM tires as well, they are not really that great. I don't know how Metzeler's isn't providing me great grip in the wet and in the dry. I've always felt very, very confident while riding my older KTM. This one, the tires are just not doing the job quite well. The suspension is great. It's adjustable on both ends. Even the Husqvarna has adjustable suspension, but the reason why the Husqvarna feels a little bit better is because the Scorpion Pirelli tires, but now they've been replaced as well. I will also replace my tires on the KTM Duke 390 with something much more interesting, the TVS Eurogrip Protox, Extreme Protox is what they're called. So I'm going to change that as well. I'll put a separate review of it as well. Meanwhile, what I'm trying to say here is that the KTM is very road focused. It is very sharp, very agile, very, very good in terms of stability, ride quality, and the SVARTPILEN just aces a little bit that comfort aspect, and it's even much more comfortable and linear and smoother. At the same time, it has a little bit better ride quality as well, and that is the reason why you would choose the Husqvarna when it comes to the riding part. Now, if I were to sum up my time with both these motorcycles, what I would like to say is that they are very closely matched, but the KTM is a bit more sharper and louder and in your face. Meanwhile, the Husqvarna, slightly more linear, slightly more comfortable, slightly much better to the eyes because it's got these great design, very smooth design, and the way the panels are done and way everything is the way the sort of retro, modern, neo, classic, everything is just come together so well in the Husqvarna that even I waited for the Husqvarna to come. But then again, for my ergonomics reason, I chose the KTM, and I knew for a fact that most of the things are the same. So you're getting this review and this verdict as a owner of the KTM. Well, I would really love to have the Husqvarna, and if you can, if you are can get it. If you love the design, if you fit just right on the motorcycle, if you love the ergonomics on it. The ergonomics don't support me, but they will support every other normal person out there. You should have a go at the Husqvarna. You will enjoy it. You will love the design. The design will grow on you, and it being slightly cheaper for 25,000 rupees, which isn't much in EMI terms, anyways. For most people, and people who are buying on cash, obviously doesn't really matter. It will be a great motorcycle for you. But if you're looking for that out and out, you know, unhinged performance, unhinged handling, in your face, really like to have fun on the road, on the track, on the weekend rides, and even touring as well, you will not be disappointed with the KTM as well. It is great, but it is a little less subtle than the Husqvarna SVARTPILEN 401. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you like, share and subscribe. Please follow us on our YouTube channel, website for everyday updates. Until then, goodbye.